Hello there to both my bright-eyed, eager viewers and to those of you who've been duct-taped to your chairs and can't escape me. It is day 4 in what has turned out to be an oddly lopsided book review week. Today's book is Between Shades of Grey by Ruta Sepetys. Important note, not to be confused with the racier novels or more humorous novels that almost share its title. They were taking Jonas, my beautiful sweet brother who shooed bugs out of the house instead of stepping on them, who gave his little ruler to splint a crotchety old man's leg. "Mama, Lena," he cried, flailing his arms. "Stop," I screamed, tearing after them. Mother grabbed the officer and began speaking in Russian. Pure, fluent Russian. He stopped and listened. She lowered her voice and spoke calmly. I couldn't understand a word. The officer jerked Jonas towards him, grabbed on his other arm. His body began to vibrate as sobs racked his shoulders. A big wet spot appeared on the front of his trousers. He hung his head and cried. Mother pulled a bundle of rubles from her pocket and exposed it slightly to the officer. He reached for it and then said something to Mother, motioning with his head. Her hand flew up and ripped the amber pendant from her neck and pressed it into the NKVD's hand. He didn't seem to be satisfied. Mother continued to speak in Russian and pulled a pocket watch from her coat. I knew that watch. It was her father's, and had his name engraved in the soft gold on the back. The officer snatched the watch, let go of Jonas, and started yelling at the people next to us. Have you ever wondered what a human life is worth? That morning, my brother's was worth a pocket watch. Between Shades of Grey is set in 1941 and tells the story of Lena and her family as the Soviets invade her home country of Lithuania. The soldiers arrive one night, almost breaking down the door. They tear families apart, rip people from their homes, and simply kill anyone who tries to resist. Lena vows as she says goodbye to her father and struggles through filth, disease, hunger and terror that she will keep on drawing, that she will pass on the story of what has happened to them and what has happened to Lithuania. I feel like this is the kind of book that requires oxymorons to describe it. When I try and think of ways of summing it up, it always comes down to phrases like beautifully terrible. Many of the events in this book are painful to read about. But it's because they are that this story demands to be told. This is a story based on the real-life situations of thousands of Lithuanians during World War II. They were degraded and exiled, deported to Siberia and forced to toil and watch all those they loved around them die. In many ways it wasn't pleasant to be introduced to this character, Lena, who's a budding artist, who loves her little brother and who looks up to her stoic, strong mother, and have them face all this pain. But it's necessary. Because although she's fictional, she's representing something very real. This is really the kind of book that reminds me of how constructed history is. Everyone knows about Nazi concentration camps. But the bad things that were done by the winners? People's historical knowledge constantly needs to be broken and recreated. In many cases, what we actually know is a very, very simple, narrow version of what happened. And it really is necessary to know more, to construct national history and thus national identity. Stories like this need to be told, to widen our view of reality, to bring awareness to those events in history that have otherwise been swept under the rug. This was a fantastic story. It dealt with a very difficult subject matter, but it managed to remain respectful and engaging whilst doing so. Lena makes for a brilliant narrator. She faces these horrors with the innocence of a child, not understanding how or why any of this is happening. And one of my favourite things about this book is Sepetys' capacity to illustrate human endurance, to represent hope and regeneration. After every tragedy the characters went through, after you'd seen them have everything they had taken from them, they would still pick themselves up. They'd keep going, they'd rebuild, they'd find a new way to smile again. Ultimately, Lena's story, and the story of the thousands of Lithuanians she represents, needs to be told. So guys, tell me what you think. Is this the kind of book you'd read? Might you try and enter my competition for it in the last video? Tell me in the comments down below. Do check out the other books that have been featured in Book Review Week if you haven't already. I will be putting up the last video with the last book review in it tomorrow, so watch this space. The competition opens soon. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow in the last video of Book Review Week. Bye guys.